Boy, Proverbs 16 is about learning, gaining wisdom. This is an important one for us to understand. So, verse 1, the preparations of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Now, that's important. Perspective is what that second verse talks about. Okay, in his own eyes, a person believes that what they're doing is right in their own eyes. But God doesn't weigh from their own eyes. God weighs the spirit. God looks at people from a different perspective. So this is important for us for two reasons. One is, as we look at ourselves, we tend to over-accentuate what we think is good and under-accentuate the things we think are bad, which gets us into a feedback loop of not improving ourselves. We have to be willing to break out of that. We also have to realize, too, that even though we might see people who are evil, God doesn't weigh them based upon the same criteria we would use. God weighs them on their spirit, and he may see them in a different way. And I think in the day of judgment, we're going to see this happen a lot. You're going to have people who you've had arguments with and you've had problems with in your life, whether that was abuse from somebody or anything like that, and you're so mad, you can't wait to exact justice on them, and you're going to be there at the bar of God when it's their turn. You're going to be there as a witness against them to help decide, do they move into heaven or not? And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see their life from a very different perspective than you saw. And because of that, you're going to have a lot of mercy on that person and realize that, yes, what they did to you was bad and wrong, but what has happened to them is just as bad, if not worse. And because of that, you can't necessarily fault them for their actions. They still should deserve whatever justice means for them. But you're probably going to plead for more mercy than justice on their side, realizing where they've come from. That is the perspective God takes, and that's an important one for us to always think about. Verse 3, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. I love this one. Like, pray over everything you do, basically. Commit to doing everything in the name of God. And if you put that spiritual power in every part of your life, God can bless your life in all kinds of amazing ways. Verse 4, the Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Every one that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. By mercy and truth iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord men depart from evil. So mercy and truth is how we purge iniquity. Did you notice that? It didn't say justice and truth purgeth iniquity. Mercy and truth purgeth iniquity. Being more kind and loving to people will affect people more than holding them accountable to things, or justice will help them. That's profound. That is very profound. And by the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil. So again, the closer we come to God, the more we respect God, the less evil we want to do. So if you want to get rid of evil, follow and know God. Respect God more. Verse 7, when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. Very important. It's better to be a little righteous than a lot wicked, basically. A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. A divine sentence is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. A just weight and balance are the Lord's. All the weights of the bag are his work. It is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness, for the throne is established by righteousness. So getting to some different ideas here again of leadership and being a righteous leader, doing good things are very important. In fact, verse 13, righteous lips are the delight of kings. They love him that speaketh right. And this is important because as a king, you can't know everything that's going on in your kingdom, so you rely on the advice of your people to help you. The more honest and integrity that those people share, the better it is and easier it is, because you're going to get better advice to make decisions in your kingdom. So again, verse 14, the wrath of a king is as messengers of death, but a wise man will pacify it. In light of the king's countenance is life, and his favor is as a cloud of the latter rain. How much better is it to get wisdom than gold, and to get understanding rather to be chosen than silver. Learning is more important than wealth, is what they're really getting at. So rather than pursue wealth, maybe pursue knowledge. Why not? That could be a good thing for you. Verse 17, the highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He that keepeth his way preserveth his soul. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. How many times have we heard that before? That your pride ends up setting you up for a problem later on, and then you have more problems. Verse 19, better is it to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. Be humble and with those who are humble and lowly, rather than focus on the wealth you're gaining. Verse 20, he that handleth a matter wisely shall find good, and whoso trusteth in the Lord, happy is he. Very good advice. Verse 21, the wise in heart shall be called prudence, and the sweetness of the lips increaseth learning. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that hath it, but the instruction of fools is folly. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. Pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul, health to the bones. Makes a difference. Kindness to people, sharing kindness, pleasant words, being happy and positive with people will help people out more than being angry and mad with people. Makes such a difference. Such a difference. There's no motivational speakers out there that would disagree with you. Words make a difference, and they matter a lot. That's what we're learning a lot in here. Now, verse 25, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. No, we've heard that. In 2 chapters ago, I think we heard that as well, that same idea. Verse 26, he that laboureth for himself, for his mouth craveth it of him. An ungodly man diggeth up evil, and in his lips there is a burning fire. So again, people who are prideful, people who are not God-fearing, they can be a force for destruction in good situations. Take a good situation and make it bad, basically. Let's see, verse 28, a froward man soweth strife, and a whisperer separateth chief friends. So these are telling falsehoods to people, cause lots of problems. Verse 29, a violent man enticeth his neighbor, and leadeth him into the way that is not good. He shutteth his eyes to devise froward things, moving his lips, he bringeth evil to pass. So wickedness begets more wickedness. Righteousness begets more righteousness. Verse 31, the hoary head is a crown of glory if it be found in the way of righteousness. Now, hoary means white, basically. So this could say the gray hair of old age or the white hair of old age is the crown of glory, if it be found in the way of righteousness. If you've been righteous and good, then being elderly is going to be a good thing for you. If not, being elderly is not going to be as fun. Verse 32, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Being slow to anger. Always remember that. Slow to anger. Don't get in the road rage. Don't get mad at people. Don't let your pride get the better of you. It's very, very important. In fact, David O. McKay said this. He said, the whole lesson is one of subduing, not just physical matter that you might realize the ideal, but subduing your own passions and appetites and conquering them. Some of you say, we hear too much about keeping the word of wisdom. Why, it is one of the best lessons for the young in all this world and for the old. You reach out to indulge in certain things. Resist, avoid creating an appetite for that which creates an appetite for itself. But beyond that, you develop the power to say no, thank you, and the strength that comes to the character more than compensates for any immediate pleasure. I commend to you, young man and young woman, the virtue of self-mastery if you would fulfill the true measure of your life in subduing in order to realize the ideal, the spiritual development of your soul. Very, very important. slow to anger is better than being strong. Verse 33, the lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposing thereof is of the Lord. So just again realize prudence, kindness, slow to anger, learning things, not just hearing about things, but learning things, digging deep, getting into them is very, very important. Good principles for us to live by. So let's jump to the next song, our next chapter of Proverbs as we continue to move forward.